All right, guys, welcome to a new episode of the Type 1 Lifting podcast. I have a very, very exciting guest. I've been wanting to get him on for a while. To be honest, I've just been chicken shit to get up to text him. He is the owner and head coach of Underdog Athletics. Justin Cotler, how you doing?
I'm good, Tom. How are you?
Not bad. So I just want to let you know, we actually have a couple things in common.
Oh, yeah? Okay,
So
let me
we're,
know.
we're both old. So I'm 40,
Yes,
I'll be 43.
47.
Yep.
I'm older.
So we both played collegiate basketball.
You're a lot taller than me, though. I'm only 5'11". You're 6'6". So
Yep.
what were you? What, small forward?
No, like power forward, like
Okay.
center for some reason. So okay, I love
Oh, wow.
my whole game was just rebounding. Like I didn't care about playing defense. I was playing
Nice.
defense. I didn't care about scoring, just like rebounds. I was like Dennis Rodman, but
I was
without the
about to say
tattoos.
you and
Yeah,
Dennis Rodman. There you go.
yeah,
You,
yeah,
Dennis Rodman, Ben Wallace. There you
yep,
go.
pretty
Those three.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is we both have kids.
Yes. How many do you have?
So I have two. I have a 7 and a 4-year-old. The
All right. So
oldest,
we're close.
yeah. So the
We're
oldest
close.
one's a boy and the youngest one's a girl.
So I've got a 5-year-old girl and a 2.5-year-old boy. So you know what it's like to be in the weeds 24/7, pretty
Hmm.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
when you became a dad for the first time, what
yeah.
was your thought going through your mind of like, like is this real? Is this happening?
Yeah. You know what's funny is my wife always makes fun of me because I feel like for women and men it's very different, right?
Hmm.
Because obviously they're carrying the child, so they can feel it. Their hormonal changes. There's all these things happening to them, and as a guy, you're just like, okay, like we're gonna have a kid, all right. And I think it just doesn't really hit you until the moment it happens.
Hmm.
And then when it happens, it's just the most overwhelming experience in the world. There's all, it's impossible to describe. And I always say that to people, when I have friends who are expecting, and I'm like, you don't get it. You won't get it until it
Hmm.
happens. And then once it happens, there's no way to describe it. My daughter, who I've been obsessed with, since she was born. It's just an unreal kind of out of body experience. And when it happened, and that you can love something that much that you've known for 5 seconds, and then it just continues to grow from there. And I think the toughest thing for me about having a second child was thinking like, how am I going to love this second child as
Hmm.
much as I love? I don't have enough love to go around.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna happen. But then somehow it does, and my son Jackson is, obviously he's the second light of our life. So yeah, man, it's amazing. It's an incredible experience. It's obviously incredibly challenging and difficult. Every day, there are parts of the day where you're like, oh my gosh, I
Yep.
just,
Yep.
they're destroying the house and
Yep.
hitting each other and like running around, banging on things and breaking everything. And we just moved into a new house and they're destroying it already. And but at the you just what are you gonna do?
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
that's part of it. And then you're gonna miss those moments,
Yep.
when they grow up and hit the teenage years, which I'm sure are going to be hilarious.
Hmm.
Especially for us older dads. But yeah, man, it's amazing. It's incredible, and it helps to have a rock star wife who kind of holds everything together, allows me to be a dreamer, and she's definitely more grounded and practical, and I kind of have my head in the clouds a lot of the time, and it's a good balance between the two of us. And I think it's a good balance for the kids too, because I think they have a little bit of both of us, and I think they've both they have a lot of the traits that we have too, which is cool. My wife and I are both pretty good athletes, and also have music in our background, and both our kids are showing signs of being pretty good athletes,
Hmm.
especially my daughter, and both extremely musical. I think my son is going to get the music bug even more than my daughter, but that's exciting. It's exciting to see those things.
Yeah. So when we had my son Bennett, the first one, and then we were talking about having a second one, she's like, "What do you think about having another one?" I'm like, "I mean, I'm pretty cool with one. I'm
Yeah.
pretty cool with one." I was like, because because like I don't know, it was just like nerve wracking because like mainly for me it was my wife was like sick every single day during the pregnancy, and
Yeah.
it wasn't like, oh, a couple months here like she's good, but it was like the
Oh,
whole time, and
that's rough.
I felt so bad because she would literally have to have a banana right beside her bed, just like, and wouldn't even like, she'd get up and like, she wouldn't even get up. She would like lay in the bed and start eating something because as she got up, she immediately had to run to the bathroom. And I
Oh
felt,
my gosh.
and like she
That's
was taking
brutal.
like Zofran, Diclegis, like all these like anti-nausea medications. And it wasn't even like touching, touching her.
Wow.
And so,
That's
and
tough.
yeah. And so she was like, what do you think about having another one? I'm like, do you do you realize like you're sick like for the whole time? She's like, no, it won't be that bad. No, it was 10 times worse for her because it was a girl.
No.
Yes. Yep.
Oh man, that's brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife's second pregnancy was definitely tougher on her. But that said, like the first one was a breeze. She will tell you, like
Hmm.
she had the easiest pregnancy with Ivy, and then a much tougher one, I would say, with Jackson. Like she didn't feel great, but I think compared to what you're telling me, I think she had it pretty easy comparatively.
Yes, very much
Um,
so. Yeah.
but of course, I always say like it's hilarious because like as a dad, it's just we can't. They've done the hard work, man. They've done the heavy lifting at this point, and we can't really complain about much.
Hmm. Yep. True.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yep.
yeah.
Definitely. But have you ever heard of push presents before?
Push presence.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, well, you're lucky because you have so the thing is after your wife gives birth, you have to give her a present, which is like a gift for like
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
push
yeah.
present like
Okay, yeah. Push
yeah, yeah.
present. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, I got it.
so
Yeah.
I never believed that. I like the when my like my she was pregnant with my first child. I was like, that's a load of crap. There's no way, no way. And then like one night she was just like retching the whole time, and like she gets out of the bathroom and looks at me. She's like, "Do I deserve a push present now?" And I'm like, "Yes, you do.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes."
Whatever you want, just tell me.
Yeah. And so I never even knew about it because even like I talked to my other coworkers and like, yeah, like this I've never heard that either. And I'm like, oh, okay. But then I found out like this is a legit thing.
That's a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a real thing. Yeah,
So
for sure.
did you do anything kind of like a push present for
Trying to
her at
think
all?
of I'm pretty sure that I did. But honestly, at this point, I'm having a challenging time remembering. Um, feel like,
It's dad memory.
oh, dude, I was just talking about it with my wife earlier today. Honestly, like I swear, sometimes you're just like, the other day, I, so I love to cook, and I had made steak, and I had, we had leftovers. I cut the
Hmm.
steak up, and you put it in the in Tupperware container and stuff. And my wife, like an hour later, I don't know why. Thank God she did. She went into the Tupperware cabinet, and there was the Tupperware container with the steak in the cabinet. Yeah, 100%. Just I had cut it up, and I was over by the Tupperware cabinet, and I must have been doing something else, thinking about something else, and I literally had just put the steak right in the Tupperware container
Hmm.
cabinet in a container. Yeah, it's a scary thing, bro. And I
Yeah.
feel like doubly, like, I don't want to admit it, but like doubly, like getting older and dad brain, and you put those two together, and it's a miracle that I can get dressed in the morning and accomplish things. So
Yeah. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, that's the same with me. Like I'll leave like refrigerated medication out on the counter because I'm like
yeah.
running around getting them, then the kids like driving them to school and stuff like that. And it's just like, oh man, this is, it's unreal. And then like
Yeah.
my wife is always tells me I am perfect at memorizing useless knowledge. Everything if it's serious, like I'm just forget it, like game over.
That's awesome. Hey, I mean, at least like you're probably pretty good at Jeopardy then, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I think like people's like my kids' social security numbers. Nope, like none of that.
No,
Like
oh
no,
gosh, no,
or like
no chance.
like birthdays. I'm like nope. And like I have a
Yeah,
large family of like cousins. I have like 30 cousins on one side and like 43 on the other side, and so I don't remember like half their names. It's just like
that's
they're
hilarious.
like, oh,
See,
who's that?
I'm good at those. Like I'm pretty good with names. I'm incredibly good at remembering like workout times and like what, you know, like athletes and stuff. Carrie will just be like, hey, well, what did I get in 2015, blah blah blah, and I'll like know that, you know what I mean? But yeah,
Mhm.
oh, 100%. Then there's things that she'll be like, remember when I asked you to do so and so? I'll be like, no, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, like
Don't
forgetting
remember
stuff at
that
the
at
yeah,
all.
like forgetting stuff at the grocery store too.
Yeah, 100%. Oh yeah, 100%. Or like she'll be like, hey, can you drop this off at so and so before you leave the house? And I'll leave the house, and then she'll take a picture of it sitting on the counter and send it to me. And I'll be like, well, what do you expect? I mean,
Yeah.
that's, you know, that's par for the course.
Yeah.
It would be actually, it would be amazing if I remembered. Like that would be something new and impressive. The fact
Hmm.
that I forgot, that's status quo. I'm comfortable right there. That's
Yeah.
my lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said you recently moved into a new house.
Yes.
So how I know you had a really crappy landlord in the before in the a previous home, from what I heard.
Sure.
And so
Yes.
so did you move into another apartment or did you move into a new house?
No, we bought a house.
Okay.
So yeah, it actually turned out that the crappy landlord was the catalyst for buying the house, which I think my wife and I are probably pretty happy about.
Hmm.
So at the end of the day, we can thank him, even though he's an asshole. Um, yeah, you know, so when we moved to Vegas, right, it was pandemic time and prices were really low here in Vegas. And so, you know, fast forward 2 years later, we signed a 2 year lease. We had a great deal. We had a beautiful house in a beautiful area of Las Vegas, and our landlord, you know, let us know he was going to raise our rent 60%, not 16%, 60%. Um, Market rate, right? Like what, you know, the market increase essentially has been 25%. So that would have been, I would have been fine with that. Like I would have
Hmm.
been like, you know what? I mean, it's post pandemic. Things are going crazy in Las Vegas because everyone's moving here from California. We moved here from New York. Like, so, but when he said 60%, you know, we got kind of, you know, got on the phone with our broker, and our broker like was like, this guy's insane. You know, I mean, let me do some comps from around the neighborhood. And we presented it to him, and he was like, no. And we were like, okay, well, then we're not staying. You know, so here's our, you know, our 30 days notice. We're not staying. Um, and so, well, actually, we didn't even say 30 days notice. What we said was, okay, then we're going to try to find a house to buy. But
Hmm.
most likely, we're not going to be able to close for a few months. So can we do month to month? We've been here 2 years, never missed a payment. We're great tenants. We actually paid upfront the first year. Like, you know, we're phenomenal tenants. And he was like, no, I need you out by the date that your lease ends. So we were living like gypsies for a few months, you know.
Hmm.
But my wife, it was funny because I went on the road for semifinals. I was gone for 4 straight weeks, and she bought a house while I was gone. So you know, she went, she looked at a few things. She's like, "Listen, I found something. I love it. You know, can I buy it?" I was like, "Yeah, of course. I
Hmm.
trust you." You know. Um, so it's worked out. You know, the only tough thing was we were basically living like gypsies for 2 months, waiting for the house to close. But now that we're in the house, it's amazing. You know, we're putting it together. It's going great. Next week we'll get the landscaping done. So it's all coming together. My wife's, you know, done an incredible job. She's a rock star, and I've, you know, she's let me have a couple of things that I can say, hey, you know, I've had a lot of say with the landscape. I'm not too picky about that stuff. I care the thing I care the most about is the backyard, and eventually, like, we want to upgrade the master bathroom, master shower, etc. But
Hmm.
that's like next year's project. The landscaping is this year's project in the backyard, and then next year will be that. But everything else, I'm kind of like, you know, do your thing, babe.
Yeah,
Do what you want.
that's kind of like us too, my family. So I was up in Massachusetts because my dad was in the ICU just to kind of like watch him, and all of a sudden like we got a house, and so she literally was like moving everything. She got like a couple moving guys and like wrapped everything up, and like while I'm like up north for like 5 days, just like like hanging out with the family and stuff like that. I'm like, you okay? She's like, I'm just stressed. It's okay, And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, I'll be down there shortly. And then we started packing more stuff when I got down, and literally moved into the house like a couple days later.
Wow.
Yeah.
And moving sucks, right? I mean,
Oh.
moving's just, it's the worst.
Hmm.
So my wife is now like, we're never moving again. I hope you
Yep.
like
Same
the
here.
house because this is our forever house. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, sounds good. I mean, the good thing is we love Vegas and the kid. It's great for the kids, and you know we've really made a home here and laid roots, and you know Underdogs is doing well, and it's a great place to host athletes and have athletes come here, and so it's turned out to be a pretty good situation.
Yeah. So have your athletes helped you move at all?
They did. Some of them did. Yeah, we had a few that came and helped out. We had a few of the guys that are part of our management team, you know, that helped out. But yeah, but for the most part, they love the fact that we've finally gotten settled because we do like a month. I love to cook, so monthly, like I'll smoke something. It would
Oh,
be
nice.
some type of meat, you know, steaks or pork butt or baby back ribs or whatever. So they're happy we're settled now, so that they can come over and eat. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I think that's the thing they're most excited about.
Yeah. So is your wife buying more tchotchkes for like the house and everything like that?
She's done it honestly. Well, it's not my wife's not like crazy about like we're more minimalists, I
Hmm.
would say.
Yeah.
Um, so we got a new couch and you know kind of a new like new TV and sound system downstairs, which is amazing because we're both big sports fans. Well, I'm a big sports fan. She's a big Green Bay Packers fan.
Okay.
That's about as that runs the gamut. She's a huge cheesehead, but really all she cares about is Packers. She doesn't care about any other sports or any other teams. I'm just a massive sports fan in general. I pretty much watch everything.
Hmm.
Um, so we love having the new TV and sound system. But yeah, I mean we had a lot of furniture that we were able to transfer over, which was great. We got a few new things, but really excited about getting the landscaping done in the backyard because I mean Vegas, I mean right now it's perfect. You wake up in the morning, it's 75 degrees, it's like 92 and dry, which feels like 80 and
Hmm.
dry everywhere else. It's just perfect weather right now. So being able to get that right now is just dirt. So being able to have the landscaping
Yeah.
company
Yeah.
come and put in pavers and turf and just make it really nice for us and the kids to be able to spend more time out there. I'm stoked about that.
Yeah. So, what is it like raising kids in Vegas? Because obviously everyone sees like the Vegas Strip and stuff like that, but what is it really like outside the Strip?
It's nothing like that. So the strip is awesome if you want to go and see a show, if you want to get dressed up and I would say it's Disney World for adults. There's
Hmm.
anything you want to get into, you can go down there. Since we've moved here, we've been there probably you could count it on two hands in 2 years, and we'll go down there. Generally, we'll take the kids and we'll go to the Bellagio to see the new setup for the conservatory. Like it's they have this like flower garden conservatory that's they change 4 times a year,
Oh,
and the
cool.
kids just love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. And then my wife and I have gone to a concert, and we have had dinner a few times. But I went to the strip a lot more, in my 20s and
Yep.
30s,
Yeah.
going for bachelor parties and hanging out and all that kind of stuff. Um, so, I would say the strip is one of those things that people see, and it's obviously unbelievably touristy. But at the end of the day, if you live here, you rarely go there. The locals don't go there, and Vegas is an amazing place. It actually has kind of a small town feel. There's a lot of new developments. It's
Hmm.
incredibly well manicured, um, and it's beautiful. It's a different type of beauty, right? There's not the trees and the rolling hills and things in the Northeast. No, it's desert, but mountains and red rocks and all these incredible things to see. Lake Mead and Mount Charleston and Red Rock Canyon. Some of the best rock climbing in the world. Incredible hiking. You can be outdoors all the time. So growing up, we were in New York. I grew up in South Florida. I was used to being outside 24/7.
Yep.
I went to college in the Northeast, at the University of Pennsylvania. And then from there, I was a musician and I moved from Philadelphia to New York. And I spent 20 years in New York. And I always said you can take the boy out of Florida, but you can't take the Florida out of the boy. I hate cold weather, just always have.
Yep.
So moving here and waking up every day, and this is even better weather than Florida, much better, because in Florida, you get the
The
humidity.
humidity. Yep.
Oh my God, it's 95 degrees and then 90% humidity. It feels like it's 1,000 degrees outside. In Vegas, you get that 1 month that's kind of unbearable where it could be a 110 plus. But
Yep.
I'm telling you right now, 105 and dry is 100 times better than 90 and humid. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, and then the rest of the year is perfect, and so it's just awesome to be able to be outside year round, have the kids be outside and enjoy being outside. In New York, we were really cramped in an apartment, and now we have a beautiful house and have been able to cut living expenses. It's honestly it's been a phenomenal move. We have really enjoyed it. There's things about New York, obviously, that we miss. Mostly just friends, though.
Yeah.
Vegas has phenomenal food. Vegas has all these things that you can do. So we love it. It's great for where we are in our lives. It's great with two young kids, and it is really great for what I do for a living. And putting together an athlete camp, and having our athlete family here, and then obviously in the future bringing more athletes out, and then being able to run week long camps or weekend camps or CEO camps or this or that, coaching camps, coaching mentorship seminars, things like that. It's just a phenomenal place. Who doesn't
Yeah.
want to come to Vegas for a weekend too?
True.
Like
Yeah.
it's a great place to, for people to come and visit.
Yeah. Do you use it? Do you use Vegas as kind of like a selling point for like future athletes and everything like
Oh,
that?
100%,
Yeah.
without question. And what's crazy is everybody that comes out here, they have the strip in their mind, and then they get out here and they're like, "Oh my gosh!" Like they see the beauty, they see the mountains, they see Red Rock Canyon, they see the weather, and it's honestly not that hard to sell.
Hmm.
It's pretty easy. Yeah.
Yeah. You just got to make sure they go to a proper hotel, like Ricky Garrard when the first time he came here.
Yeah, that was bad. Yeah, that you don't want to stay at one of those, the Econo Lodge or whatever it was that he was in. No, he's learned, and since then he's been staying in Airbnbs, so it's been a pretty good situation for him. Yeah, that was rough.
I can't
Yeah.
imagine the horrors. I can't imagine like what he's heard at that place.
It was pretty terrible, and the fact that we both came back from Dubai, we both caught COVID, so we were sick. So he had to be inside for like a week, and I know, I mean, it was just a really scary place he was staying. So, yeah, not good. But his second trip here, right before the games, he loved, and his girlfriend loved. So it turned out to be a much better situation.
Yeah. So with your athletes, obviously you had two athletes go to the games. Alex Kazan and Ricky Garrard. So obviously, like you're moving into all that stuff. Are you kind of like settled in right now? Are you more relaxed than you were like a couple months ago?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely more of a downtime in the season for sure. And it's kind of one of those things where, hey, everybody took some time off, and now everybody's kind of getting back in, and we've got some competitions coming up. We had the qualifiers obviously for Wadapalooza, Dubai, that type of stuff, but we've got Rogue coming up, so I'll be
Hmm.
going down to Rogue. And then after that, we've got Wadapalooza coming up this year. I opted not to travel to Dubai, and most I think maybe we had one or two athletes that did the qualifiers, but in general, I think everybody chose to do Wadapalooza. Dubai's tough. It's a tough trip,
Yeah. It's
and I loved it.
big
I had a
money,
great time.
big
But
money though.
yes, it is, and we had a great time. But Wadapalooza, I helped to write the workouts. I was part of the programming collective this year, so it was really really cool to be a part of that, and so we're looking to have a ton of athletes competing down at Wadapalooza. That'll be a lot of fun. And right now it's a cool time of the season because we're having athletes visit. We're having some athletes that weren't part of Underdogs last year that are joining and jumping on board and jumping on part of being part of our family, which is amazing. And we'll have some more that I think will matriculate over the next few months, which will be awesome. And I think we'll have some big news coming out of the camp soon, which I think people will be excited about. Uh, and then it's crazy how time flies though, because before you know it, it's gonna be January and we're gonna be in season,
Yep.
and then once that happens, it's back to the grind, man.
Yeah. So when you guys like figure out like competitions and stuff like that. So obviously, with the whole Canada East and Canada West like debacle, like they're not paying their their athletes or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like now, just like this year, are you kind of like circling back, seeing like, okay, you may want to go here so you can get paid compared to going over here?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have an athlete who currently is owed money from Can West, Ali Scuds,
Hmm.
who I believe came in fourth, and that's a nice, made a nice chunk of change. I think it's like 4 grand or so. Um, yeah, it's tough, man. I listen. The games, Dubai, even those places, they take a while to pay, but they pay. What I'm concerned about are the competitions that are saying, hey, like, they advertised this, and now they're saying, oh, well, sorry, we can't, you know, you can't do that. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? It's not the you can't just make up numbers and then depending on how many tickets you sell or et cetera, then you decide, oh well, we can actually pay you that. And I think that's ultimately, listen, those competitions will be ruined. They'll never get people back to those. So, yeah, I think without question, you'd like to be able to take people for their word, but at the end of the day, you've got to really be careful. And
Hmm.
I'm lucky enough to have been in this for a long time, and I've got a lot of relationships with a lot of people that run these events. I'm really hoping that the guys that run Can West, come up. I don't want to say come up big. I just hope that they stick to their word. You can't, like I said, you just can't say that you're going to pay something and then not pay it. Otherwise there'll be no competition. There'll be no athletes.
Yeah. Well, to
Um,
be honest with you, I don't think there's going to be another next year for them if they're
yeah,
already saying that.
I'd be shocked. So we'll
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think European Championships right now is, pretty much said they can't pay anybody, and
Hmm.
we have a relationship with a couple of the athletes that were there, which so that's pretty terrible. Um, but yeah, it's definitely something. I think two of the big things in the off season, that the that coaches like myself and some of the athlete camps really need to take a big look at is the obviously the testing, PEDs piece, that which was such a big part of this past season. And then now this, which has kind of come to the forefront, which is ultimately making sure that your athletes don't get caught up in something, in one of these events that can't pay them.
Yeah. So, with your athletes, so obviously, like you love your kids very much. Do you treat your athletes kind of like, not like your children, but like kind of like someone that that you take underneath your wing to, guide them and to make sure, even like with like sponsorships or anything like that, like say, hey, I can help you. This is like a good way for like this might be a good opportunity. This, I don't think it's going to be a good opportunity.
Right. Uh, so most of the athletes that I have outside management for
Hmm.
sponsorship,
Yeah.
whether it's lab management or whether it's Snorri at Balkan, or others, Benji who represents Alex, and there's a few others there. But in general, and I have great relationships with the agents, and I'll give my opinions for sure. So if an athlete wants to know my opinion, I will give it. But that's not my area of expertise. So I will obviously defer to those who are the experts. But I'll certainly give advice, and if they want my opinion, I will give it. And honestly, there are some agents that'll ask me too, and I'm happy to give that opinion. But to kind of like your former question, yeah, it is like a family. I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily like my children, but in a sense, there's an incredibly strong bond there, and it's
Hmm.
certainly not a business relationship, right?
Yeah.
It's much deeper and much stronger than that. And I always say that when an athlete decides to go with a coach, and puts their trust and their career, which is that which they hold dear, in their hands, that's a huge responsibility, and it's something that I don't take lightly. And also, you immediately feel this incredible bond with them because they have, it's obvious how much they trust you and how much that they and you've got to come up big for them.
Yeah.
I mean, like I always say, I put everything into my coaching and my relationship, but really it's to try to help them accomplish their goals and their dreams, to help them maximize their potential. And the way that I look at that is, unless there's this incredible bond, unless there's this love there, I feel like for me, then looking at it more as like a business relationship just doesn't work.
Hmm.
I just happen to be an emotional person, a passionate person, and for me, I don't know any other way. That's just the way that I work.
Yeah. So is that how you make sure you like your athletes buy in? Because if you're like showing your passion to them, pretty much gaining like, with your
I
technique and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think they can just see it,
Yeah. Hmm.
I think, I'm lucky enough, I think at this point in my career to have gained some visibility, and I think I would say it's like, I think the camera likes me because I wear my emotions on my sleeve. They
Yeah.
love watching Cotler go bananas on the
Hmm.
sideline.
Yep.
Like I just think it's something but it's not, it's genuine. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not thinking about the cameras. I'm actually that emotional and passionate and engaged, and in the moment,
Yeah.
and it just comes out. And I think some athletes resonate with that, and then I think there are others that don't. I think there are others that you know, maybe don't want that, and that's fine. And there are many coaches out there that I think would be great for them, but certainly not me. Like I think that an athlete that gets involved with me knows the way that I am and understands.
Hmm.
Aside from just the knowledge and experience that I have from coaching games athletes, all the way back to 2010, like. Beyond that, I think that the athletes that decide to come with me and decide to go with underdogs,
Hmm.
understand what we're about and what I'm about, and I don't think it's a surprise to them.
Yeah. So when new possible like new athletes come into underdogs to kind of like test the waters a little bit, what are some of the traits that you look for new athletes coming into underdogs?
I think the thing that we care about the most right now is just being a good person. Like,
Hmm.
do we, are you a good person? Are you interested in being a part of something that's bigger than you? We're at the point where I think we've developed a culture that is competitive but nurturing and compassionate at the same time. Like, we want to have healthy, friendly competition, but if you're coming in here and you want to be essentially like the only athlete, or you want to get treated a different way, then this isn't the place for you.
Hmm.
We're trying to really put together a culture of inclusion, and a culture where athletes can come and not feel attacked, but feel like they're a part of a family.
Hmm.
And in some cases, there are going to be some athletes that don't want that. They're going to want to be the big dog, and they're going to want to be treated differently, and they're not going to want to work out next to somebody necessarily that's not a top 10 games athlete. Maybe someone who's a semifinals athlete, or someone who's on the cusp of semifinals. But that's not what we have here. And I think there's room for all those different athletes out there.
Hmm.
Um, it just so happens that the athletes that we have in camp now are really excited about that being the culture. And I think that there were some growing pains getting here, but I think that now that we're here, we feel very good about what we've created, and we feel really good about what our culture is, what our values are, and moving forward. We always say to an athlete, don't decide to come here unless you've come here and
Hmm.
visited. and seeing what it's like for a week, and make sure that you understand the vibe, make sure that, you come and we're going to have a meeting with our athletes as well. If our athletes don't feel like somebody fits here, then, then that person's not going to end up here. That's just the way it is. We're at a point now where, we have a great thing going, and we don't want to do anything to jeopardize that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So when Ricky came in, when he first came on to Underdogs, like what was your whole like thought process of like, all right, I got this guy, he's got like some serious talent. I was a big believer of second chances too. So what was your whole thought of, Ricky coming to Underdogs?
Yeah, I just I I felt like where I'm at in my life, and the type of coach I am, that I felt like I could help Ricky, and I felt like I would be a good coach for Ricky.
Hmm.
I wasn't going to judge him. I think everyone in the sport was disappointed. Obviously, I think you're always disappointed when you see someone who has unbelievable ability and they make a mistake and they do something, and obviously, they listen. He paid his penance and
Yep,
he served
absolutely.
his time.
Yep.
But the way I look at it is, as fans of the sport and as people who love fitness, we were robbed of the 4 years that Ricky would have been able to compete. I don't think
Hmm.
there's any question that Ricky would have. I don't know that he would have beaten Matt. Matt's Matt. I mean, he's Michael Jordan, right? Like, but I think Ricky would have been really competitive, and I don't think Ricky was scared. I don't think Ricky was scared. Ricky's not scared of anybody. Ricky, believes in himself. And so when I had said initially that I would be interested in coaching him, that's kind of what I was excited about. I was excited about the prospects of him, being able to, have this amazing redemption story and being able to reclaim his career. But
Hmm.
also, I felt great about like the values that I would be, able to, share with him and kind of implore on him. And I think right from the beginning we hit it off, and we spent time in Dubai, and I knew right away that my intuition was right. That he was phenomenal, and anyone who gets to spend time with him loves him, and has a wonderful feeling about him. And there's always going to be people who don't forgive him. And there's always going to be people who hide behind the keyboards and say really nasty things. And there's nothing that we can do about that. And I'm not going to get, I'm not going to get in a war of words with those people because, at the end of the day, that's what they want.
Yeah.
And but I think Ricky proved this year that he is a world class talent. To be able to come back after, I mean, it was a 4-year suspension, but it was 5 years, from the games.
Hmm.
To be able to come back and lead for half the games and finish on the podium and do what he did, I think it was one hell of a story. I think it was, one of the top, 2 or 3 stories from the games for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I think Ricky and Roman were just these amazing stories. Ricky, Roman, Mal, obviously, and then of course the winners. But the fact that you had Ricky and Roman who were challenging Justin, and they, you had these 3 gladiators at the top just throwing heavyweight punches. I thought it was awesome. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if you see that again for the next couple of years with these guys if they can stay healthy.
Yeah. Or
I think
their visas can go are
right,
good to go.
exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah. But no, man, Ricky's been amazing, and I couldn't be happier with what he's done, and with our relationship.
Yeah. So was he happy with the placement that he got at the games this year?
Um, I would say that he was happy but not satisfied.
Hmm.
Um, I think anytime you finish on the podium, obviously it's a great achievement. But when you lead the games for 3 days and then you give up that white jersey, that was hard. That was a bitter pill for him to swallow, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure. I know him as a competitor. He definitely was. He didn't want to give it up, and at the end,
Yeah.
he felt a little bit empty. So, but I think that's a great. I think it's a great motivator. You put that chip on your shoulder, and you use it as fuel. And like I said, I mean, I think the most dangerous thing for an athlete is to be satisfied.
Hmm.
If you're satisfied, you're done, in my opinion. So I think the fact that he's still got that hunger in his belly, I think that's a good thing.
Okay, awesome, very cool, very cool. So he's going to Rogue too, correct?
He is, yeah. He'll be at
Yeah.
Rogue, and I'll be there with him, and then we'll kind of have a discussion about what he's going to do the rest of the year because he has a busy season coming up. He's doing Down Under Championship back in Australia with a team with
Mhm.
Matt DeLugos and Colin Porter. And then we're deciding, Dubai or Wadapalooza. I think it'll probably be Wadapalooza just because I think he's going to come here, and then I think he's going to stay for maybe 5 months or so through quarterfinals.
Mhm.
But obviously that's a decision we'll make together, and I'll again lend my opinion. Ultimately, it's his choice, but
Yep.
I have some strong opinions about it. So I will. I'll not be shy about that. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not real shy when it comes to those things.
Yeah,
Um,
I
you know,
wish he was at Wadapalooza last year. I felt so bad that he got sick because I really wanted to see him, just tear it up on that floor.
yeah, he was. He honestly, man, it was a. I am happy. I mean, I hate to say I'm happy. I'm happy he got food poisoning because he had no business competing. He had lost. He had lost almost 20 pounds from
Wow.
COVID. Yeah, his body was wrecked, and he would have been a shell of himself, not a shell of what you had seen at Dubai. And I think honestly, it was like the universe. The universe was like, "We're giving you food poisoning to make sure that you don't compete because this is, it would not be good for you this weekend to do that." So,
Yeah.
I'm excited to see him though, and I'm excited to yeah, I think he's going to have a great season. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. He's a fighter. Yeah, I always say to people, he's just one of those guys. You turn the lights on, and he'll give you another like 20-30% from
Hmm.
what you see in the gym. He just has this thing. Where some people like they practice and you're like, wow, they're amazing, and they get on the floor and it's like the same thing you saw in practice and they're still great. You'll see him in practice and be like, wow, you're amazing, and then he'll go and do on the floor and then he's 25% better, and just like, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah.
Like that's just a whole nother level.
Hmm.
But he's just got that. He's got that thing.
Yeah. So I'm team Matt DeLugos. Obviously, I got to root for the tall guys because I'm tall myself.
Yeah,
So he was really really close at the Granite Games. Um,
yeah,
so what obviously like with pull up bars and stuff like that, that's an issue. So
yeah.
what are your thoughts on him for next year? And the other question is, have you talked to CrossFit or any of those other competitions to kind of be like, hey, is there like one area or like can we just like raise the bar up a little bit and put pads down for the shorter guys, or like what can we do to make the taller athletes like more efficient instead of like dragging their feet or like pull-ups or anything like that?
Yeah, it's been a big topic of discussion. And at the end of the day, I don't know if you noticed, but at the CrossFit Games, they had higher pull-up bars. So they already started to take action. I think you're going to see a change this year where at every major event, you're going to see some higher pull-up bars and some higher rings. Exactly because of what happened to Matt. Matt was, within 12 points of making the CrossFit Games, and if you point to the workout that was chest to bars and power snatches, power snatches is one of his best movements. I mean, he's one of the best in the world at power snatches. I mean, we saw that during the quarterfinal event, the row burpee power snatch event.
Yep.
Where he did the touch and go 185s at the end and basically just did a bunch of muscle snatches. Um, I don't have any doubt in my mind if he had had a higher pull up bar, he would have made the games. I mean, he was hitting his feet on the ground. There were no repping him. He had to drop to like sets of threes and fours. But it is what it is, I know that he's really hungry to do so. I know that that was tough for him, and he needed some time to be able to just kind of mentally and emotionally get over that.
Mhm.
But I feel like we're in a good place. I feel like he's training really hard. He had a little injury he had to deal with after the last chance qualifier that he seems to be fully healed from. He'll be doing a couple of big events coming up. He's going to Australia for Down Under Championships, and then he's coming back. He's going to do Wadapalooza. But besides that, I know he's got his eye on the prize, and we're gonna try to get him there. But he's a phenomenal talent. He's a 6'4" guy in CrossFit, which is obviously, kind of inherently a really, really challenging, kind of puts him
Yep.
behind the eight ball.
Yeah.
But he's a great mover. He's got some home runs, which are essential when you're that size, because there are going to be some events that are not your bread and butter, that are not wheelhouse workouts for you when you're 6'4". So the fact that he has some home runs is huge. And, we just need to continue to work on weaknesses and make sure that we're kind of, bringing everything, in the middle, so that some of those lower event finishes continue to become higher event finishes.
Hmm.
And I think he's going to do great. He's got a real bright future.
Yeah. So I know he's a big anime guy. So has he like kind of like showed some of his anime movies to your kids? Have they seen any of those? Like,
No, he has a great relationship with Ivy and Jax. Actually, I think we introduced him to Spider-Man, the Spider-Verse,
yep.
through the Spider-Verse, right? Yeah, I think he watched that for the first time with my daughter,
Oh,
because
cool.
she was obsessed with that movie. It's not anime, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And but I haven't seen any anime. No, we haven't watched any together. And he hasn't watched any with the kids. But I have seen some of the T-shirts that he has. You
Yeah.
know, which are funny.
Yeah.
But no, he's got a great relationship with Ivy and Jax. They love him.
Yeah, I love it. I love talking to him because he's like such a cool, like relaxed
Yeah,
guy and stuff like that. And so, and obviously, like I said before, I always root for the taller guys. So,
you have to.
you
You're you're
gotta.
you're even taller than he is.
Yeah,
Six
I
six.
know.
My
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
It's insane. Like, yeah, I walk into the gym and they're like, "So we're not doing rowing and wall balls," and I was like, "Okay, that's fine." So,
yeah. I know, right?
yeah.
Well, you get a few. You get a few. Rowing. You get wall balls. You get rope climbs, box jumps, and then that's probably about it
Yeah.
for
Well,
you guys.
so for the craziest thing, thrusters are my jam too. I love doing thrusters.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Like
right.
I could hold on for a long time. So,
There you
but
go.
yeah.
That's pretty good,
Yeah.
especially for a 6'6" guy. Most 6'6" guys would be like, "Oh man, thrusters. I'm
Yeah.
leaving today. I'm
I don't
cherry
know.
picking my workouts. I'm not coming today."
Yeah, I try to pick a work like a weakness and try to make it a little bit better. Obviously, like it for right now, like being like 43, it's a little tough like trying to find schedule to work out and stuff like that. So it's like you gotta
Yeah,
make do. So, but
especially with kids. Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
but we'll see what happens. But I'm lifting pretty good weights, so I can't complain. So
There you go. That's
yeah,
great.
so 315 for a clean and jerk and 250 for a snatch.
Wow, that's pretty fantastic, man.
Yeah.
That's great. At
So
43, are you
yep.
competing? Are you doing some
Uh,
masters competitions?
I haven't had the chance yet. My engine sucks. Like I got
No, but I
sick.
don't
It's
mean
a
I don't mean CrossFit. I mean
Oh,
weightlifting.
oh, yeah. Like like I actually had a previous guest on. He's like a weightlifting coach, and he's been trying to nag me to do a competition, but like I've been sick, and then like all this stuff keeps on happening. So I just need to work on, being consistent, and then you know, then I'll
Yeah,
do
you
it.
absolutely should with those numbers. I mean,
Yeah,
I think you do really well. That's
yeah.
great.
Well, that's what he keeps on telling me. So we'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see what happens. But
yeah.
so we're getting close to the end. So I have some rapid fire questions, but
Cool.
they're not really rapid fire. So you can kind of
Okay.
take as long as you want. So
Okay.
I just needed something to say for that one. So um
Perfect.
do you obviously like being a business owner, you know, husband, a father, and even a coach. So what are your goals for the rest of the year, or like even going into like the middle of next year? It could be like either personal or business wise.
Yeah, sure. I mean, business wise, it kind of always remains the same, and that's to help my athletes achieve their goals
Hmm.
and reach their maximum potential. As a business, we're underdogs. I always say we're like the little engine that could. We're only about 16, 17 months old. Compared to some of these monsters that are in the industry, it's tough, but we're making headway, and we're really trying to build things. And like I said, we want to be around for the long haul. So,
Hmm.
I'm excited about the future. We've got a lot of exciting things coming up, for this season. And then, as a husband, as a dad, is just to try to be, the most patient and helpful and loving person that I can be. It's not easy all the time.
Hmm.
I've found, I've honestly, as a dad, the toughest thing is not losing your patience. When you have young kids, it's hard. I mean, it's
Oh
hard
yeah,
to,
very hard, very hard.
and sometimes, and then you feel bad because you get upset and you yell and stuff. And, so it's always trying to be a little bit better,
Mhm.
and remind yourself that, they're kids. And a lot of the time this is what kids do,
Yep. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
So those are kind of the major things.
Okay. What is your favorite book to read?
What is my favorite book to read? Um, huh, let's see. I would probably say, How Champions Think by Bob Rotella is
Yeah,
probably my favorite.
Matt's that was Matt's favorite book too.
Well,
I actually,
who do you
well,
think introduced that to
yeah,
Matt?
I actually bought it. I actually bought it because of him too. So,
Matt asked me a couple years ago what my favorite book was, and I told him that. I also that so I was a literature major in college. My favorite like book, is Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, but I haven't read that in a long time. I probably should. But that was that's a great book as well. Yeah, probably How Champions Think.
okay, all right, cool. So what is in your gym bag slash coach's bag?
Uh, Honestly, the thing that I'm doing the most now is rock climbing. So, rock climbing shoes and a harness and chalk. Those are the things that I'm I at the gym. I do a lot of 30 to 45 minute conditioning, EMOMs, body weight stuff. A lot of accessory work, functional bodybuilding type stuff. And I don't do a ton of, I would say, intense CrossFit workouts.
Hmm.
Just honestly, like time wise and body wise, like where I'm at after being an athlete for a lot of years, there's a lot of kinks in the armor, or say chinks in the armor.
Yep,
Um, but I really, over since I moved to Las Vegas, and I climbed a lot in college, but I've kind of rekindled that love for rock climbing. And my daughter is an incredible athlete, an amazing gymnast, and an amazing rock climber. And the two of us go rock climbing a few times a week, whether it's indoors or outdoors. So I love it. I shut my phone off, and for 2 hours, I can just
that's awesome.
I can just go and kind of, it's so cerebral, and for me it's a phenomenal way to decompress, and also a phenomenal way to work out and train.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so this one's a little deep. So I hope you're ready
Okay.
for this one. So let's
Okay.
just say you're lying in bed. It's your last day on this planet. You have all
Mm.
your friends around your bed. How do you want people to know you as?
Oh man. Uh I would hope that, I always say, that the only thing that you have really is your reputation and how you treated people, and
Hmm.
how people feel about you. You know, it doesn't matter how, kind of what you've done, how much money you have, all those things. If people hate you or you're an asshole, um, so at the end of the day, man, like I hope that the majority of people will say that, that I had something to contribute, but also that they enjoyed spending time with me, and that, they thought I was, at the end of the day, that they thought I was a good person. I hope so. That's what I try to. It's what I try to be. It's not always perfect, but that's
Yeah,
what I try to be.
nobody's
Yeah.
perfect. Nobody's
No.
perfect. So, all right, very cool. So, where could people reach out to you if they have any questions about like underdog athletics or like coming to the gym or pretty much like anything?
Sure. Um, my Instagram, is at Justin Cotler. So they can reach me there, direct message me on Instagram. We also at Underdogs Athletics. Is one word on Instagram. If they're coming to Vegas, I would strongly recommend Camp Rhino, which is where we train. We don't own the gym, but that's where we train out of. So if you want to come and get Carrie Pierce's autograph, that's where we'll be. Um, but yeah, it's a phenomenal facility. and they, we love being there. It's a great home for us. The easiest place is on Instagram. Direct message me or us at Underdogs Athletics.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for doing this. I really do appreciate taking the time and actually learning about you being a dad, business owner, even like living life in Vegas and stuff like that. So thank you for doing it very much for doing this.
It's my pleasure, Tom. It's been fun being on with you.